He said it on camera. We're just gonna kill him. The President of the United States casually describing extrajudicial killings on the high seas, and his team is cheering it on. If that doesn't set off every alarm bell about law, morality, and who's running foreign policy, what will? Today, we unpack how this administration turned a murky anti-drug operation into a deadly power play, and why ordinary Americans should be terrified. This story starts with a simple, brutal premise. The White House decided to sink boats suspected of carrying drugs. Not arrest, not capture, kill. The president himself told reporters, in words that are now public, "We're just going to kill them," adding later, "They're going to be like dead." Those aren't offhand gaffes. They're policy theater that normalizes state violence without due process. Behind the sound bites, administration insiders quietly admitted something far worse for the rule of law. Most of the boats being targeted didn't have the fuel capacity to reach the U.S. mainland. According to an anonymous official who spoke to Dropsite News, many were small coastal vessels, not transoceanic smuggling ships. In other words, the administration is bombing targets it cannot prove posed a direct threat to Americans. Then they doubled down. Pete Hegseth publicly announced, "We're going to send an aircraft carrier," a show of force that takes a law enforcement problem and turns it into a military spectacle. An aircraft carrier doesn't chase dinghies, it projects power, and it escalates the risk of deadly encounters and diplomatic crises. Why escalate? Reports name Marco Rubio as a primary voice pushing this line, arguing that Venezuela is the source of the menace and that toppling Maduro would open the door to resource access. That narrative, drug threat equals regime change equals access to oil, tracks eerily with past imperial playbooks. Even if Venezuelan culpability is unproven, the administration uses the allegation as cover for military escalation. So we're left with a string of facts that fit into a very dangerous pattern. 1. Rhetorical dehumanization. We're just going to kill them. 2. Flimsy operational justification. Boats with insufficient fuel capacity. 3. Militarized escalation. Aircraft carrier deployment. 4. Geopolitical motive. Pressure on Venezuela tied to resource goals. That's not law enforcement. That's a recipe for unnecessary war. The legal exposure is enormous. Targeting foreign vessels on the open ocean without clear evidence of an imminent threat risks violating international law and could amount to war crimes. The moral exposure is worse. Mothers, children, cruise workers, anyone unlucky enough to be on a targeted boat are reduced to collateral in a theatrical show of toughness. And the strategic cost? Alienating regional partners, sparking retaliatory violence, and pushing neutral states closer to adversaries who oppose U.S. unilateralism. Who answers for this? The president who bragged about it? The advisors who cheered it? The official channels that failed to stop it? Congress has oversight powers, war powers, funding controls, authorization authorities, and they need to use them now. Journalists must keep pressing for documentary evidence. Where did these boats originate? What intelligence tied them to transnational trafficking? Who authorized lethal force? And were any non-combatants harmed? There are sane alternatives. Target high-value trafficking